What is happening here is that the NPR, which is underway, not in the future, it's underway, is going to become the base document for this future NRC. Now, that's why the link between the CAA and the NRC is so clear, because that link is via the NPR. It's not something hypothetical in the future, something vague, but happening right now. One of the serious issues with respect to the CAA is its connection with the NRC. The upcoming NPR exercise will require people to declare date and place of birth of parents, which was not asked in the earlier NPR. Now, this is of crucial significance. And to understand why, let's look at the Citizenship Act, the law that determines citizenship in India and which is presently subject to amendment by the CAA. So, for those people who are born after 1987, it's not enough to simply have been born in India, but one of your parents must be a citizen, and if you're born after 2003, then the other must not be an illegal immigrant. And that's why this new demand in the NPR, which requires you to declare the date and place of birth of your parents, is significant, because that matches exactly with what Section 3 of the Citizenship Act prescribes as a requirement of citizenship. But what I want to emphasize here is that the clear overlap between what the Citizenship Act prescribes as a requirement of becoming a citizen on the one hand, and what this new requirement of the NPR prescribes, that overlap is identical.
Even though we did pilots on it, India never bothered to implement it until the Kargil War of 1999, when the Pakistani military men have entered India in civilian clothes. India realized that we could not identify Indian citizens or foreigners without identity cards. So this is when a national identity card was proposed. And during a conference of chief ministers on internal security in 2001, the National Population Register was pushed. But then again in 2008, we went through a major attack in Bombay on 26/11, where Pakistani terrorists have infiltrated India, posing as fishermen, hijacking a fishing trawler. So suddenly India realized we were unable to identify fishermen from Indian residents, and again what essentially has happened is it was a large intelligence failure, and suddenly we realized that India is creating more intelligence databases. So we start implementing the National Population Register and start providing every fisherman with a national identity card. Now, after all of this, during the project, the data which was being collected by the National Population Register and as well as Aadhaar was also shared with the states. So UIDI created something called the State Resident Data Hubs, similar to the National Population Register, where they created a mechanism called the Know Your Resident Plus, where states could collect more data than what UIDI could store. So essentially religion and caste information were collected to check how welfare schemes were being implemented. So what you get is the National Population Register also start collecting this KYR plus data for states. And these entities, including the Registrar General of India, start sharing this data, which eventually results in a lot of voter IDs being deleted without the individuals knowing it. This entire exercise was an illegal exercise. So what you get essentially is, until the Aadhaar Act of 2016 was formulated, there were no regulations and rules, and this was a wild west of data sharing, and nobody knew what happened with the data. So everyone were sharing data between each other until Supreme Court intervened, until the Parliament intervened.
And what they have found particularly difficult, as the Assam example shows, is to prove it by a descent. So to show that you are the descendant of this person who is a citizen. That has led to the most number of difficulties in their starkest form. And so that's why the CAA is not something that can be dissociated from a future NRC. But the bridge between the two is the NPR, which is already underway.